Hi everybody, Matt Yonkovit CXO at Percona. We're going to try something new this week. We're going to try and take you around the database and tech world and give you all the news and industry insights that you'll need to get through the week. We're going to try and do this in 5 minutes or less. Not sure if I can do it. I like to talk, but we're going to try. So let's get started. And this week we want to start with old news. Well, old news in that we're going to talk about database breaches. And so if you aren't familiar with database breaches, they've been happening at a frightening frequency. You can't go a week without seeing 3, 4, 5 database breaches of some significance, and this week is no exception. If you take a look this week, we've seen database breaches by the Small Business Association. Nearly 8,000 applicants have actually seen their data breached. And in fact, this is not just simple data breaches with names and addresses. They also call out that this includes social security numbers, which is a big deal in the US. So people looking for COVID-19 relief may have actually gotten into even more trouble by giving up some data. We've also seen that Facebook continues to be in the news, with Facebook data being leaked to the internet. So over 267 million users' data is being sold on the dark web right now. And how much does that data cost? Well, $540. It's really depressing that my data is not worth more than that. Highly regulated industries are no exception to database breaches. So in this case, Pay, a credit card processor in New York City, a startup, has actually leaked 2.5 million records. And if you take a look here, they actually have a snippet in this article by TechCrunch on what that data looks like. And this includes credit card information. But the thing that I want to highlight here is an error was made that left the database exposed without a password. This happens way too frequently, and it's troubling. But this is going to cost Pay potentially. And so SC Magazine pointed out that actual compliance issues with PCI compliance around credit cards can run upwards of $500,000 per incident. And so database breaches are getting more and more costly, and they're impacting every sector. And if you're not in the payment processor space, you still have to worry. So a judge this week ruled that Hy-Vee, a grocery store here in the U.S., actually can be sued for breaching individual people's credit card information and their personal data. So this is getting more and more costly. Also online, we've seen Zynga this week also get sued. So it doesn't matter where your data is. It's going to potentially be leaked. And so you have to take some precautions. And the sad thing is, a lot of this database breaches that are occurring, you can actually prevent them. So I mentioned the database breach. For God's sakes, put a password on your database. It's a simple thing to do. Encrypt your data. Also super simple and important for us. Okay? But also, you have to be mindful that you can't be a digital pack rat and just keep your databases up and running forever. A lot of people move data to the cloud. They move them into a service. They forget about them. They leave them exposed, and they're there for years in some cases. So let's avoid doing that. The second news that we want to talk about is actually about the greatest stress test in the history of the internet. And what do I mean by that? Well, with COVID-19, everyone's working at home, and so everyone is hitting the internet more frequently, and they're hitting services like they've never hit them before. And so we're starting to see this take its toll. So eWeek had a good article on exposing the cracks in the public cloud, because public cloud providers, including Microsoft, Azure, Google, and others, have had issues in the last couple of weeks. Even second and third tier cloud providers have had issues. And so this is something that we have to be mindful of as more people move to the cloud. What does this expose? And this is the first time some of this has been tested. And so we look, big companies like GitHub and Apple have also had outages this week. And so this is starting to take its toll, and people are getting aggravated by this. We also know, it's very easy to go out and look for Zoom issues, Microsoft Teams issues, other collaboration issues as people move. And these have seen explosive growth. And industry analysts and experts are starting to take notice. I saw this article by Thousand Eyes where they talk about that over the past few weeks they've been overwhelmed by the requests just to get information on if the internet is breaking and where it's breaking and how long they are. And this is something we're seeing over and over again. But if you look across the industry, we did a survey and we found that more than 29 or 28%, almost 29%, have seen a significant increase in workload, while 22% have seen a significant decrease. And we all know that impact on the significant decrease, and that's where the human toll comes in the human story, right? So we see that people are getting laid off, especially in the tech space. So unicorns and tech startups are no different. We have over 25 million, I think, is the latest number here in the U.S. people who have filed for unemployment. And in the tech space, we're getting hit just as hard. And the unicorn space and the tech startup space is equally as hard. So this was earlier this week. It's 20,000 people in the startup space. A lot of people don't work at startups. This is actually old information. The latest numbers are over 30,000. And so this is an important thing. And we're starting to find kind of the seedy underbelly of, Silicon Valley. I didn't know that there was an actual undertaker of Silicon Valley. NPR put this great article out this week to talk about this. There's actually a guy whose job it is to go help liquidate startups when they go under and they are not profitable anymore. And he says business is booming. So evidently that's a thing. But if you are in one of those situations, there is help. So TechCrunch, other places have started to put together resources. This is a good article that I ran across this week and shared out on if you're looking for a job, what are some of the things you can do, where are some of the things you can go. There's this website that was put out there, layoffs.fyi. It was mentioned in several of these articles that track these tech startup layoffs. And so you can see, there's 374 companies that are hiring, 312 that have laid off people. So if you're interested and want to look at some of that mining, it's a really good resource for you. But if you are one of those that are impacted, I would encourage you to reach out to your network. If you're in the database space, feel free to even just reach out to me or Percona. We'd love to help you. We're hiring, but not only are we hiring, we know a lot of other folks who are in that boat where they're seeing that incredible growth. So there are opportunities out there. We just need to make sure that we're sharing information and we're helping each other out. So with that, I want to jump into some Percona news. And so this week, the blog of the week, if you will, is SQL optimizations in Postgres. So this is an article that was published this week on the 16th, and it has gotten more readership than any of the other articles on the blog this week. So congratulations to Jobin. But if you're interested in Postgres optimizations and performance, especially in the development space, it's a good article. We also have published MySQL group replication. What is the impact of a partial network failure? So when some of your network components go out, what happens to the performance and how does that impact your cluster? Super important for data availability. I mentioned MongoDB being one of the most breached databases on the planet, along with Elasticsearch. So we've got some information on how to set up and tune and configure MongoDB. So MongoDB Best Practices, the 2020 edition. We also have information this week on how to integrate HashiCorp Vault with Percona Server for MongoDB, so you can get database encryption, which can help with some of those database breaches. We also have a great article on how to tune and troubleshoot high CPU in MySQL. So this is sure to be a long-lasting and long-living article. But I'm also doing the state of open source database industry. So I have a blog series that's running right now. I get a lot of questions from analysts, from companies on what is the most popular database, what's growing, what's shrinking, where should you use what database. What we've done is try to consolidate all the information we've gathered from customers, users, analysts, our survey, other people's surveys, and put them all in one location. So if you're interested in knowing, which database is growing, in which use cases, where there's popularity, where there's some shrinking in the community, this is a great resource. I'm also going to be giving a webinar on this that's going to be coming up. And if you haven't seen, this week we announced our full agenda for Percona Live Online, a 24-hour, around-the-clock conference with nothing but geeky database content in every time zone. It's a single-track conference, but we have pulled together some of the world's leading experts from a lot of awesome companies. Okay, so I would encourage you to pre-register for this. It's free. It's no obligation. We're going to record this. All the information and all the sessions will be out there for people, but some awesome companies there. Also, finally, I mentioned we're doing the state of open source database right now. We do a survey. That data goes into the open source database, state of open source databases. I would encourage you to go fill out our survey. We really need your help. Same thing with other projects. We give this data away for free. It helps people figure out where the database industry is going. It's completely anonymous. Please, if you get a second, please fill it out. So I came in just around 9 minutes, so I completely blew through my 5-minute goal, but I appreciate you listening. If you did like Around the World, the tech world and database world in 10 minutes or less, I would appreciate a like. Let me know in the comments, and I will do this again. Appreciate it, and keep on keeping on, everybody. Thanks.